It's August 25, and I see that the Beatles on their YouTube channel have released a new mix of Free as a Bird. So that's like 30 years since it was first released. And I've listened to it maybe 3 or 4 times, and it does sound really good. I mean, John Lennon's voice sounds fantastic because of the technology they're using. They're able to use that stuff that him from Lord of the Rings uses to separate old audio, you know, take it all separate and then he can digitalize it. I think it's AI or whatever he uses. But yeah, they really get John's voice really clear. I'd say the only thing about John's voice is because he wasn't really putting his heart into it because it was just singing in his house. Yeah, with the TV on, I think, I'm not sure or whatever, but uh, he wasn't really giving it welly, or giving it full meaning, full emotional thing. But the actual clarity of it's really good. Now, it sounds as if he's there a bit disinterested, that's that sort of thing. But yeah, it's really good. I should say that I've no real skill in knowing about the Beatles. I've only really listened to them the last 6 years or something. I was a sort of year zero punk person, but I've been totally mistaken because they are the greatest artists of all time, pop artists. I mean, they're incredible with what they come up with and also the way they creatively gel, interact it, bring out all their own things to it, even Ringo, the whole lot. Absolutely fantastic. In fact, they don't even have a genre. The Beatles are the genre of their own. And this one, while it's a good song, I mean, even their not very good songs are pretty fantastic. They're way above most others. I mean, Free as a Bird, the original, as a song itself, I would give it, I don't know, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I mean, it's good, but I don't really want to listen to it again and again, and all. I might now, I don't know. But at the moment, what I'm listening to is Baby You're a Rich Man and Sir Milk Sea, a version with George Harrison singing that somebody's improved with AI. They've not. In fact, I don't think they did use AI. You can find it on YouTube. It's a fantastic. It's really lively and it's Gary Clapton on it and Paul McCartney on bass. It's just incredible. How that wasn't a Beatles song, I don't know. I think, in fact, George Harrison even mentioned that in the Anthology documentary when they were hanging about in the house recording this. And he said, I mean, I did write some like Sour Milk Sea, and he's right, it should have been on, really. I don't think he was making the point they should have done it, but he was just saying that he wrote, I don't know, some good songs. He did get some good songs on, of course. But anyway, on to this again. Yeah, it is really good. Jeff Lynne apparently remixed it. I thought he might get Giles Martin in. I think he had something, but I think Jeff Lynne is listed as a producer. I mean, Jeff Lynne, I'm not really a fan of his stuff because he always sort of double tracks stuff, and I think he maybe quadruple tracks. I think for George Harrison's last album, George said before he died, "I just want it raw. Really, I don't want it re re thing made. What do you call it when you double track it and that sort of stuff?" But then Jeff did double track it, and he said, "I'm sorry, George, but I just had to give it my best, and I felt I had to do it that way." I mean, I'm presuming he had the blessing of the Harrison family, the son and that, because yeah, but George told him not to, so that's ironic. So, but in this version, people are saying that the bass has come down a bit because I think the original one was very bass and drums. I don't know if that's true or not, but really I can hear everyone bringing, especially George. I can really hear George's. I never noticed him the first time round. He must be doing the rhythm guitar and that, and there's really lots of melodic stuff because I really like George's guitar playing with the Beatles and that. I wasn't so keen when he went on to slide guitar, It's alright, but I mean, slide guitar's alright and that, but I preferred the stuff he was coming up for sort of lead and rhythm with the Beatles. I thought was outstanding, really. I really liked it. I mean, he said he never practiced, and he wasn't a great guitar player, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is what you come up with is enjoyable, and he was coming up with really good licks and stuff, you know. And I think that's one of the part of why the Beatles were so good. I mean, their songs themselves were like 95% fantastic, but then what they also added in terms of creativity to, especially Paul. I mean, Paul is a fantastic bass player, so creative. I mean, Ringo even said he's the most melodic bass player I've known, but I would say he's probably my favourite bass player because just the stuff he comes up with is so interesting, and maybe because he was really a guitar player, but he felt somebody had to play bass once that other guy left, Stuart or whatever, who died of a brain hemorrhage in 1964 or whenever, or 63. Um, he was the original bassist, I think, yeah, or at least he was for a while in Hamburg. Anyway, but onto this song, yeah, George, you can really hear. Really, it's a rhythm guitar. I'm presuming some because I think John was just playing piano on it, and you can hear John actually his low piano notes at the important bits and that. So yeah, because what they've done with the technology, it was probably that guy from Lord of the Rings, that producer who's won the Grammy and all that Oscars. Because he originally had this, and then he said to the Beatles, because he's a big Beatles fan, he says, I can probably, with your Get Back stuff, I can probably separate it all and really improve the sound quality with this AI. And this is only about, say, 4 years ago or something. And he let him do it, and he came up with the Get Back documentary, and it was fantastic. And he's done it to a few songs now as well. So possibly they've done it to the whole anthology now, because the original anthology was a trilogy. Now they've added another one, but I think you need to buy all four. I don't know what people have been saying. I've not really been following it. But yeah, so I'm just commenting on Free as a Bird, really. I mean, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 now, I think, from what I've listened to so far. Really, everything's coming out now, just to clarity. And I'll just take a look at the comments down here. Yeah, everyone's happy. Yeah, it's a real shame that George isn't around anymore. You know, he only died around about when he was 58 or something. It's a real tragedy. I get the feeling John would have still been around, you know. So that would have mean we had 40 years of John, because I prefer John Lennon by default, his tunes, you know, especially the Beatles, the early Beatles. I mean, to me in the 70s, he lost his way quite a bit. I think I get just too arrogant, you know, with the song number 9 and all that. He just thought people were automatically going to buy his LPs. The last few he done, they weren't really buying them, I don't think, you know, in the big numbers. Around about 75 he stopped, really. Then he came back with Starting Over and all that, which were good, but there was something missing from them for me. I don't know what it was. Then he had Milk and Honey, he was doing other stuff, which was good again. It was coming on. I think he would have really come up with good stuff. But I prefer John's stuff to Paul, but Paul's still top class, comes up with top songs. It's just I always expect John to like a John song. Probably wrongly, you know, because like I say, in the 70s, a lot of the stuff was pretty depressing. Yeah, I thought this was an interesting comment here. John's vocals are the cleanest I've ever heard, yeah. Yeah. The only thing about it, I would say, is that it just sounds a bit lackluster, because when he was singing it, he was just singing in his house, just messing about, really, with songs. So he wasn't putting any welly into it, really, you know. So that's the only thing, but clarity, yeah, it's really good. Yeah, this guy's saying thank you, Mal, and he means machine assisted learning. He doesn't mean Mal Evans, who was their sort of helper during the Beatles years, but sadly he went a bit off the rails and got shot by the American police in 1975 because he was acting crazy or something. Uh, yeah, John's voice can be heard clearly. It sounds like they did away with Paul's double tracking. Harmonies during George's solo are more present than before. Yeah, because George sings on it as well, so they all got a bit, I think, on their own, he and Paul as well. Not Ringo, but and I heard some of Ringo's intricate drums this time round I didn't notice the last time. I don't know if it's because I didn't notice, but I mean, I just took for granted Ringo wasn't a good drummer, but he's just really, really enjoyable to listen to. I mean, yeah, to me, he's a good drummer, and I think most because it's just, it says he never practiced, and that George said that about the two of them, they never practiced, but just for having something to give to a song is it's really enjoyable what he does. And to me, he's like a sort of jazz drummer, really intricate and really enjoyable. Uh, what else saying? Rhythm guitars are a little more present. Yeah, that's what I noticed really, and they're really sort of George comes up with really nice stuff. I mean, it's sort of for rhythm, it's sort of rock and roll, that intricate stuff, you know, because you like that guy who wrote Blue Suede Shoes and that, and he liked that sort of stuff. Um, you could hear the piano a little better, yeah, you could, yeah, the low notes. You could even feel the weight of those low piano notes, yeah, you could. And the alternate George line used in 1 Plus was used. The love that we once knew. Yeah, at the end of it a little bit where they have the banjo playing and they say things like turned out nice again, I think it's John. Um, I mean, to me it was a surprise. I forgot about that, but it's quite nice because I think George really liked the banjo, and Paul still does a bit in his concerts to George, and he plays the banjo in it because George liked the banjo. And John learnt on the banjo because his mum played the banjo, I think. Or was it ukulele? Ah, it was ukulele, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think John learnt a string instrument on the ukulele because his mum played it. Sadly, she got knocked over when John was about 15 or something, or 16. And actually, that's what John first learnt, a ukulele. So, with that sort of connection with the band, that's really good. And you could also hear some phasing, flanging, and Ringo's drums leading to the coda, etc. Yeah, it's an interesting comment. Yeah, it's 3 decades ago. It's hard to believe. I mean, the original it was good, but John's vocals were pretty disappointing in terms of technology, you know. Just so it's really good he's come out clear this time. I suppose to make his vocals sound upbeat, you would need to use AI. You know, they've just used machine-assisted learning, so they've just improved it. But to make it sound really forceful, you'd probably need to use AI. You know, which they don't want to do, probably. And the Anthology stuff's coming out in November, apparently. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just, I'll take a look at Google Gemini and see what it's saying about it. Yeah, I wondered if Jeff Lynne was still remixing, you know, because I thought they might go to Giles Martin, who's George Martin's son, who's done a lot of, remastering for him, but apparently Jeff Lynne did remix Freeze the Bird 2025. I mean, from what I've sounded, it still sounds that sort of almost wall of sound, Jeff Lynne thing. Everything's double tracked or core. I don't know if they have double tracked it this time because people were saying that the bass is not as not as voluminous this time. I mean Paul's bass on it's not basic, but he's keeping it calmer. You know, he's not doing much fancy. But there's nice sort of chord changes as well. There's always Beatles always seem to have a twist in a chord changing thing to make it interesting. Yeah, because the song itself is a sort of straight down the line song, but it's not one that I'll probably get bored of. Really, it's good enough of a mix. I mean, I don't know when John wrote it. I think it was around about 1977. Because even though he didn't release anything for 5 years, from 75 to 80, he did. He was still making songs up in the house. Um, I think he mainly used a piano and a drum machine. I don't know though. I'm just saying that. Yeah, the new remix was released digitally in August 25 and it's set to be yesterday actually. I saw it. Set to be part of an expanded 30th anniversary edition. So that's the 21st of August. It was released, I think. maybe the Thursday, I don't know. And so they've got a box set coming out again. Everyone will need to buy the whole 4 set, I think. The 25 mix uses new audio restoration technology to isolate John Lennon's vocals, and Jeff Lynne, who produced the original 95 version, is credited as the producer of the new mix as well. Yeah, because Jeff Lynne was George's friend, George brought him in, and possibly, George set down rules for the first time, because it seems like that. I don't know if I'm right about that. Maybe he had a sort of inferiority complex, especially with Paul. Like, he felt it was always Paul and John were the bosses, which they probably were, and he felt undermined a bit. So maybe as part of the deals, he was to bring in Jeff, because I don't think I would have picked Jeff. Jeff's, even ELO, is just, I mean, ELO stuff's alright. I mean, Living Thing's a great song, I think. But it's always got that sort of big sound, double track. And I saw a documentary about him as well, around about 2005, and he was saying when he was in recording stuff, double track it, and then I think he was saying double track it again, so that would be quadruple track. I don't know, but that was that sort of big sound, that maybe he's done away with that this time. He went for clarity. I don't know, but I can really hear George's stuff. That's what I really noticed, and also some Ringo's really doing some sort of jazz stuff, like which I wasn't really expecting. I know he does that sort of stuff. Like the stuff he done in Come Together, that sort of drum pattern. But that's what I noticed anyway, really. And I was asking what about Giles Martin. That's George Martin's son, the original Beatles producer. Giles remastered the original 3 Anthology albums, 1, 2, 3, for the expanded 30th anniversary box set. I don't think he'd done the original. They'd have probably been too young. May even have been George Martin, I don't know. He also curated Anthology 4, a new compilation featuring previously unreleased tracks. While Jeff Lynne is credited as the producer for the new 25 remixes of Free as a Bird and Real Love. Yeah, Real Love's coming out as well, so that's something to look forward to. Probably be on YouTube next month or something, I hope. Giles Martin has worked with Lynne in the past. For example, Giles Martin and Jeff Lynne together remixed Free as a Bird for the 2015 DVD and Blu-ray release of One. And Giles Martin was a producer for the 23 song Now and Then, with Jeff Lynne receiving additional production credits. Yeah, he received production credits for Now and Then, but I don't think he really had anything to do with it. I think that was because he was involved with the original back in '95, which they were taking it from. So I don't know all about that, but I think that's how it happened. So that version of Now and Then, I don't think Jeff really had anything to do with the 23 version, really. It was just they were building on his original. Yeah, ask Google Pro about it, but apparently you only get a few shots of Google Pro for free a day or whatever, so I never really found out much. I mean, I think he gave me the wrong answer here, actually. I was asking him about it, tell me more about the new remix. And it's saying here it was spearheaded by producer Giles Martin, but I think it was probably more likely Jeff Lynne, and he's the son of George Martin. Yeah, because this song, Free as a Bird, it was just something that John was working on in 1977, sitting with a piano and a cheap tape recorder probably, and possibly I think somebody said that the TV was maybe on at the time, and there was buzzing on it, so originally you couldn't separate all that from the analog tape, but now with the Lord of the Rings guys, machine assisted learning, you can separate sounds from analog or even digital. Even you can separate sounds from anything. You can and then you can build them up, put the volume up or whatever. You could change them with AI if you wanted to, but I don't think they've done that for this. They've just maybe turned the volume up in the original, just isolated his voice and put the original up. They've used his piano as well. Um, Yeah, I never really learnt a lot here. The primary goal of the new mix is to create a fuller, clearer, and more immersive listening experience. And I think it does that here. They've reached that stage with the technology, you know. I think Beatles fans were waiting for, they wanted the 1965 album, not Revolver, the one before that. Or maybe even the one before that, I don't know, but they didn't get it. Yeah, a key focus of this remix has been the integration of John Lennon's original 77 demo vocal. Yeah, in 95 they built on that, but this time they can isolate his voice. And they've utilised the same. So they've done this at Abbey Road, and they've utilised in London the same AI-powered demixing technology that was instrumental in the recent Revolver project. This machine learning software allows for the separation of individual sounds and instruments that were originally combined on a single track. Yeah, they isolated Lennon's voice with unprecedented clarity, removing the ambient noise and piano bleed from the original demo cassette more effectively than ever before. The result is a cleaner vocal track. Yeah, it can be put more prominent within the mix. Furthermore, the new mix will provide greater separation and definition for the instruments recorded by Paul, George and Ringo. Yeah, that's true. Like I say, I can hear George a lot better. Maybe you could have done that with the original anyway, you know, anybody could mix it. But maybe they've done a bit of machine assisted learning and that. Possibly not, because by then they would have had a 32 track studio or whatever, you know. You could put everybody isolated. Yeah. It's got a more robust and present rhythm section, with Ringo Starr's drumming and Paul McCartney's bass lines having increased punch and warmth. Enhanced clarity in the guitar work, allowing George Harrison's distinctive slide guitar solos and the acoustic textures to shine. Yeah, I wonder if he was using an acoustic guitar on it, because on Sour Milk Sea, it sounds like he's using an acoustic. I'm guessing it's him, could be Eric Clapton, but and it's really, really good. I mean, whoever created that new mix, you know, you can see it on YouTube. It's fantastic. I mean, it's somebody, a fan. It's not anyone to do with the Beatles. It's incredible, I think. But I wonder if he was using acoustic in this for a rhythm guitar. But whatever it is it's really clear and he's really doing intricate stuff that really fills in the gaps and carries you along like waves, you know. I mean, it's the sort of thing the Stone Roses do, I feel, and that's why I like the Stone Roses so much. I mean, there's very few bands that are, or even pop artists, you know. My bands would be the Pistols, the Jam, the Smiths, Stone Roses, possibly the Pogues, um, and now the Beatles are my favourite of them all. I was negligent. The Rolling Stones are okay. That's about my bands, really. I mean, since the Stone Roses, I've never not really liked anyone that much that I sort of connect with, you know. So, but the Beatles are the number one, really. They're their own genre. I mean, it's like Shakespeare, really, listening to them. Yeah, a wider and more dynamic stereo image, creating a more expansive soundscape for the orchestra and backing vocals. Yeah, that's true. Because the harmonies that the Beatles came up with, you know, the creativity and the sound was incredible as well. From the first recording, really, to the last. You know, because they done that one where they all done it together. Quite a few in Abbey Road where they done stuff together. They're just incredible, you know. And then to finish off Abbey Road with that, where the three of them take turns at playing lead guitar in the same song, you know, and then giving Ringo a solo, and that was almost her last song, and it's just so creative, such a good idea, and when you hear about it, it makes you love them even more, you know, because it was just such a good idea, you know, and it's interesting because everyone thought like the Get Back or whatever they called it, Let It Be at first. Everyone, because of that original documentary, everyone thought it was depressing. But actually, when you saw Get Back, they were laughing and all that. And I saw Glyn Johns get interviewed by Rick Beato yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. The YouTube video came out, and Giles was saying what he remembers it was really great fun, and he said that the original documentary really done it a disservice because it wasn't depressing at all. It was really fun, um, enjoyable. Yeah. In essence, the 2025 mix of Free as a Bird aims to bridge the technological gap between the mid-90s and today. Yeah, it does that, yeah. And there is a big change because of this machine-assisted learning that's come in over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, we've got AI as well, but that's where you're actually doing false stuff, but this is genuine stuff. While honouring the emotional integrity and structure of the original 95 recording, Giles Martin's work will present the song with a level of audio fidelity and clarity that was previously unattainable. Yeah, well, it was actually Jeff Lynne, probably, really. Solidifying its place as a fitting final chapter for the Beatles. Yeah, that's me, Rich Millett. Yeah. So, yeah, it's really worth a listen. So, that's really what I've got to say. And it is weird that I would say up to about 2018, maybe even sooner than that, like 2020, you couldn't find any Beatles stuff recordings on YouTube. But for some reason they've had a change. I don't know when it was. I think Gemini said maybe 2015. So Apple Music probably mainly have let everything the Beatles have done be on YouTube, which is fantastic. I'm amazed that this is only 424,000 views because it was yesterday it came on. So it's been there 24 hours. I would have expected that to be, 2 million or something. I mean, they've got how many subscribers? I think they've got 9 million. But yeah, it's really good. The clarity in that. So I'm really glad it's there. Probably now and then, not now and then. Next out will probably be Real Love, and then they've done another one after that in '95, which again was really good, but it's not the greatest. I mean, when I say I prefer John's stuff, well, for the Beatles anyway, but and afterwards, but to an extent, I think Paul in the '70s ended up the better one, because he came up with things like Live and Let Die, which I think is a total classic, and even silly love songs and stuff like that's really good, it's maybe even making a mockery of itself there, gently teasing itself, making a good point. Um, and also No More Lonely Nights, which I think is a classic as well. Paul definitely was as good as John, and the two of them were thingy. But I always thought John was more rocky, more organic. Um, yeah, so yeah, this is pretty good. I mean, probably I would say I prefer this to what's on his solo album, which was in 1980. Was it Starting Over or whatever? What did you call it? No, the two. I can't remember. I've only listened to it once, the whole lot though, but there was good songs on it, like I'm Losing You, and he had a sort of touch, and I think he would have got by with it. I think he went off the rails really in the early 90s, where he thought he could put out anything, he could be as abstract as he liked. But then in 1980 he was coming back in, he was coming back in within the rails, and he would have probably come up with really good stuff. So it's a real shame that we lost him. Um, yeah, it's really interesting to listen to this anyway. There we go. It was released 21st of August 25, and its own copyright is Yoko Ono, Lennon, Paul McCartney, GH Estate, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. Other than maybe Apple, but because I think they own that as well, really. So, because I like to think that YouTube, all the songs started coming on because Paul got control again, because I would imagine he would have done that, but I don't actually know if that's the case. I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah, because it's probably up to all these estates. Yeah, so you would need the other three to agree to their estates. Yeah, but it's definitely worth a listen to that. Okay. Enjoy the moment. We're really lucky to get this stuff. And listen out for Sour Milk Sea on YouTube. The mix that our YouTube fans done, because it's outstanding. Some really good Beatles stuff that I didn't really know about as well, like Baby You're a Rich Man, and oh, it's fantastic. The whole lot, incredible.